Hey, I'm Jackson from ActionJacksonFitness.com. I'm the man with a plan, the man that's gonna help you get bigger biceps. So let's talk about some biceps today, how to fill out those shirt sleeves. A couple of mistakes people make on this exercise. First biggest mistake I see people make all the time is using way too heavy of weights. People grab these heavy ass weights, they use their whole body, they throw the weight around, they feel good about themselves. Only problem is they don't actually really work their biceps too well. So one thing you can do to immediately improve your bicep gains right now today is to use a full range of motion when you're doing your bicep curls, whether it's dumbbell curls, barbell curls, easy curls, preacher curls, I don't care what kind of curls. Increase your range of motion. That's going to drastically increase the effectiveness of the exercise and help you break down your muscles more, build your muscles back up more, etc. Also going to help increase your strength. So lighten the weight up and then use a full range of motion. I'll show you what I mean. So oftentimes you'll see guys in the gym grab their weights, sort of bend at the arms, and they throw the weight around like this. Number one, I'm using my whole body. Number two, as you can see, my arms never really lengthening and shortening. So whenever we're trying to build muscle, the goal of the exercise is to lengthen the muscle and shorten the muscle. So when it comes to our biceps, we want to lengthen the bicep, shorten the bicep. As you can see, lengthen, shorten. The muscle's actually working. It's contracting and elongating. When you throw the weight around and you're constantly moving your chest and not going through a full range of motion, you never actually lengthen or shorten the muscle very much. So it stands that you're not actually going to work the muscle very much, hence you're not gonna grow your biceps very much, you're not gonna fill out your shirt sleeves, you're not gonna get any tail at the bar, etc., etc. So if we want to build those big biceps, we have to go all the way down, lengthen that muscle, shorten that muscle. So, as watch, this is the kind of rep that you want to do. Up, squeeze, all the way down. As you can see, a full lengthening and shortening of the bicep. Short, lengthen. Short, lengthen. So one trick that you can use to make sure that you're going all the way down is to flex your tricep a little bit at the bottom. Now, that does take a little bit of the stress and emphasis off the bicep for a split second, but I'd rather have you take a little bit of tension off the bicep for a second at the bottom of the movement than use a shitty range of motion the whole time anyway. So, again, full range of motion on your bicep curls, regardless of what kind of curls it is, it's gonna drastically increase your gains, both in strength, in terms of size, with your biceps. Use that full range of motion. Think about lengthening the muscle, shortening the muscle. All right, the next mistake people make when trying to build those big biceps is not squeezing at the top and focusing on that mind-muscle connection. So mind-muscle connection is gonna be huge whenever we're talking about building muscle. And you're gonna develop that through isometric hold at the top of the movement. So when you're doing your bicep curls, again, barbell curls, easy curls, dumbbell curls, I don't care what kind of curls, you want to squeeze, hold for at least a second at the top. That's gonna, again, help you develop that mind-muscle connection. It's gonna help you feel that bicep as opposed to just moving weight around. We never want to arbitrarily move weight around when we're in the gym trying to build muscle. We want to actually focus on having intention with the exercise. So the intention for a curl is to build bigger biceps. So again, fully lengthen, fully shorten, and then squeeze, mind-muscle connection, feel the bicep, feel what it feels like to squeeze it, and then continue on with the rep. So I'll show you what it looks like with a standing curl, and then I'll show you what it looks like and another way you can work on it with a dumbbell curl. So here, full range of motion again, because mistake number one is a short range of motion. So you're gonna go all the way down, you're gonna drive all the way up, you're gonna squeeze at the top, really feel what that feels like, and then all the way back down. And then drive up, squeeze, feel what that feels like to squeeze that bicep, and then all the way down. Squeezing the bicep at the top is not only going to help develop that mind-muscle connection, but it's also going to help you develop the ability to really just contract those muscles and squeeze them, and again, feel what it feels like to work the bicep in that manner. So 1 second squeeze at the very top using your easy curl, and then I'll show you what it looks like with a dumbbell curl. So a great way of developing your mind-muscle connection is to use a incline bench like this, or you could use like a preacher bench. You could use the back end of a preacher bench and get one dumbbell, and you're gonna do single arm dumbbell bicep curls, and we're just gonna focus on, again, the contraction of the muscle. So think of these as like concentration curls, sort of a modern day concentration curl. If you've ever seen pumping iron, the concentration curl scene. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put our elbow, we're gonna drive our elbow back down on this bench, we'll hold this weight up, full range of motion all the way down. The other good thing about this exercise is that it forces a full range of motion. So all the way down, and then as we drive up, we're gonna squeeze that bicep, hold at the top, 1/1000, all the way back down, drive right back up, squeeze 1/1000, all the way back down. And as you can see, the muscle sort of, the tension on the muscle. So that exercise will be fantastic. Not only does it force that range of motion, but it's gonna allow you to really focus on building that mind-muscle connection and getting that extra contraction at the top. So that extra contraction is just gonna really help sort of put the cherry on top for the set and help you get a little extra out of the exercise. The next mistake people make, and this is true of most exercises, is just moving too fast. So we want to move at a slow, controlled tempo. So we talked about getting a full range of motion. We talked about developing a mind-muscle connection and really getting that squeeze at the top with those isometric holds. And now the next thing is going to be using that slow, controlled tempo. So there's a time and a place where we want to maybe go a little faster or do cheek curls or anything else. But outside of that, most of the time, 80–90% of the time, we want to be using that 3-0-1-1 tempo on your bicep curls. That's 3 seconds down on the eccentric or the negative portion of the exercise. So 3 seconds down on the lowering, a 0-second pause at the bottom, 1 second on the way up, and then a 1 second contraction on the top. So again, 3-0-1-1. 3 second eccentric or negative, 0 second pause after the negative, 1 second on the concentric or the positive, and then a 1 second squeeze at the very top. Using that tempo is really gonna help change the way your bicep workouts work. It's gonna increase your time under tension drastically. It's gonna help you break down those muscle fibers much better. And then of course they're gonna grow back together, bigger, stronger, and that's how you're gonna get those big biceps. So I'll show you what that tempo is gonna look like. I'll show you what it looks like when you do it too fast, and I'll show you what it looks like when you do it just right. So here's going a little bit too fast. So even with a full range of motion, of course I won't be doing the squeeze at the top, but even with a full range of motion, it's easy to go too fast. So what you want to do is slow down a little bit. You want to, again, focus on that eccentric portion. We're going to be much stronger in the eccentric portion, and whenever you're trying to build muscle, that is going to be the most important portion of the rep. You're almost lifting the weight just to lower it. So focus on that part. So again, 3 seconds on the way down, 0 second pause at the bottom, 1 second on the way up, 1 second isometric at the top. It looks like this. 1, 2, 3, down, up, squeeze, 1, 2, 3, down, up, squeeze, 1, 2, 3, down. The next mistake I see people make when working their biceps is lifting their elbows up. So we talked about using that full range of motion again, but another thing you can do at the top, if you're doing standing curls, whether it's standing bicep dumbbell curls or standing barbell or easy curls, would be lifting those elbows up at the top. You want to keep those elbows locked in at the side of the body. Again, this is going to go towards the full range of motion, but even if you use a full range of motion, you can still lift those elbows at the top. When you lift your elbow at the top, if you think about just the way gravity works, now this weight's going to be pushing down and driving towards my shoulder, my elbow's gonna be up. It's gonna be very easy to hold that weight there, and all the tension's gonna come off my bicep. So by keeping my elbow locked in at my side along my rib cage here and lifting here, all the weight is pushing down and driving up against my bicep, keeping that tension on the bicep the entire time. So I'll show you what it looks like wrong, and I'll show you what it looks like correctly. So even again, if I use that full range of motion, even if I squeeze at the top, if I lift my elbows up and I get here, it's very easy for me to stand with this weight in this position the whole time. In fact, there's not really much tension on my biceps at that point. So instead, keep those elbows along the rib cage, keep them back a little bit, drive up, squeeze, and hold from this position, and that's gonna keep the tension on your biceps, and I can feel I'm not gonna be able to hold this position for very long because I have so much tension on the biceps. All right, and the last and final mistake people make when trying to build bigger biceps is they don't focus on max supination. So what I mean by that is, especially when they're doing like an incline dumbbell curl or just a regular dumbbell curl, they'll sort of sloppily lift the weights up and rotate their hands down. It looks like this. So with my clients and my own workouts, I like to choose, I like to focus. Do I want to work on my biceps and just focus on working those biceps? Or do I want to do something like a hammer curl and focus more on working my forearms and my brachialis? So pick one or the other. Don't sort of sloppily do a little bit of both. Having tension with the exercise that you're doing. If you want to just work on the bicep, then focus on the bicep and get into supination. And then from there, keep those palms facing the ceiling at the top, and I can drive up, boom, and down, and that's gonna really focus on ripping up those biceps, as opposed to, again, just sort of sloppily doing a little bit of both. If I wanna do hammer curls, focus on hammer curls, and keep those hands locked into that neutral position, in that hammer position, and just do hammer curls. And the same thing's gonna apply when you're doing incline dumbbell curls. So if I come back here on the bench, you'll see people do incline dumbbell curls, and they'll go from this position here, and they'll curl up and turn, and go down and curl up and turn. So you end up using, yeah, you're hitting a lot of muscles. You're hitting your brachialis, you're hitting some bicep, you're hitting some forearm, you're getting a lot of stuff working there. But again, choose one or the other. Focus on your biceps or focus on more your forearms and your brachialis. When I do these, I like to do them again with max supination. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna keep your palm up and you're gonna keep that palm facing the ceiling the entire time. And you're gonna keep driving that pinky up and around. What that ends up doing is creating a lot more tension on the bicep. And another trick you can do to really make this even more effective is to put your hand all the way on the outside of the dumbbell. All right, so another trick in order to really help work on the supination, in order to also, again, create a lot more tension on the bicep, is to slide your hand to the outside of the dumbbell. So whether you're doing incline dumbbell curls or just a regular dumbbell curl, slide your hand to the outside of the dumbbell. Now just holding in this position here, because the weight wants to fall inward, I have to really drive my pinky up towards the ceiling, and it creates so much tension on the bicep here. So if I move my hand towards the neutral, in the middle part of the dumbbell, or I'm in the outside, it's a little bit easier. So again, put that hand all the way to the outside. Just trying to hold that weight and hold your palm up towards the ceiling is gonna be very difficult, and it's really gonna cause that bicep to just fire off, fire off, fire off. And I'll show you what it looks like in the incline dumbbell position as well. So from here, instead of, again, holding that dumbbell in the neutral position and sort of swinging it around, keep that palm open, keep max supination, and then drive that palm up towards the ceiling and drive that pinky up towards the ceiling. And with the hand on the outside of the dumbbell, it becomes so much more effective. Now squeeze, squeeze, squeeze again. Turning that pinky over, driving that pinky over. Keep that pinky over, palm to the ceiling, all the way down, all the way back up. Even just doing those couple reps is starting to tire my bicep out. So Last tip, again, max supination. Keep those palms up, facing towards the ceiling. Keep driving those pinkies up and keep them at the same level, or even try to drive them above your thumbs. And a way of emphasizing that is going to be to slide those hands to the outside of the dumbbells when doing any type of dumbbell curl. To recap quickly, use that full range of motion. Remember, the goal is to elongate and then shorten, lengthen and shorten the muscle when we're doing our bicep curls. So instead of just using that shitty range of motion and cheating the whole time, lengthen and shorten that muscle. That's going to make the exercise so much more effective. All right, the next thing is going to be squeeze at the top. Focus on that mind-muscle connection. Really develop that and get that contraction, that little extra emphasis out of the set. Next thing is going to be using that slow, controlled tempo. 3, 0, 1, 1. 3 seconds on the way down. 0 second pause at the bottom. 1 second on the way up, and then that 1 second contraction at the top. That's going to, again, increase time under tension. Next thing is going to be keep those elbows in line with the rib cage. It does help to support those elbows with a preacher curl or with a bench, anything like that. Because if we lift our elbows when we're doing our curls, whether it's a standing curl or an incline dumbbell curl, when we lift our elbows, we allow gravity to, again, we remove gravity from the equation and we take all the tension off the bicep, because by lifting our elbows, now the weight is pressing down into our shoulder instead of ripping off our bicep. So keep those elbows locked in, keep them against the rib cage. That's going to keep the tension on the bicep and keep the weight pulling down against the bicep, which is what we want. And then the last thing is going to be to work on that supination. Keep those pinkies up towards the ceiling and focus either on working the bicep or working your forearms and your brachialis. So choose bicep curls or hammer curls. Do not do both sloppily at the same time. Have intention and focus with your sets. Either I want to work my biceps or I want to work my forearms. One or the other, but don't do both. All right, I'm Jackson with ActionJacksonFitness.com. This was how to build big ass biceps.